Simon, great. Thank you for joining our YouTube videos. Perhaps you want to do a little bit of an introduction to who you are and how you knew René.
Yeah, so I was living in Mexico. I came to London not knowing, so I was 3 years old, didn't know a word of English. I went to school and I just felt so lonely, and the first person that came up to me was René. So we've known each other for since the age of 3 years old, and went to each other's schools all the way up until I was probably about 10 years old. And then we still remained best friends, but we sort of drifted apart a little bit. I went to live in other countries, but we still caught up. We were still there, and as tight as ever, really.
Wonderful. What are your memories of him as a person, as a friend, as a personality?
He was awesome. He was just a really cool guy. He was the best at everything. He was friends with everyone. I looked up to him quite a lot. Like, a lot of the time we would just I don't know whether it was running around the playgrounds, drawing for the first time, coming up with different ideas, talking to girls for the first time. It was like me and him were just doing everything together. Always get I remember the first phone number I remembered was René's house phone. The parents were always like just driven mad by the fact that I was like always
on the phone.
Always on the phone. Yeah. So and that was basically we were just always cracking up jokes and coming up with different ideas and things, and it was just amazing those earlier years. Yeah.
And then events took a turn, didn't they? And
yeah, so
do you remember hearing the news?
Yeah, I was doing a placement at Mini UK when that happened, and I was very much in my own little sort of world doing my thing, and I saw René sort of about three months previous, and I got a call and I heard what had happened, and I didn't know how to cope. From that moment when I look back on it, sort of everything just went black and white. Like, I remember it was also like a really cloudy days, like, and it was raining the whole time, and my instinct was just go back to North London. I hadn't been there for 10 years before, for 10 years, and I was like, I just have to go and see Max and Sophia, like his parents, who I would call as like my second parents. I was around them the whole time, so I didn't know what to do other than just go and see them. And obviously they had so much to do, so I was just waiting in a friend's house. Again, I hadn't seen for so long, and I was just waiting there, like wanting to see them. And I did the following day, and I just couldn't believe it. Obviously, the whole thing had been kept so secret. You know, he didn't want anyone to know about it, and I didn't know how to cope with that. Like 3 months previous, I hadn't clocked it. We just had a good chat in the pub, and that was basically it. We just caught up and joked around a bit and told each other what we were up to, and that was basically it.
Shocking.
Yeah.
I mean, and the impact that's had on you. I mean, it is life changing, isn't it? To go through that experience.
Yeah. So
what an understatement that is. I imagine.
Yeah. So to make the matters a little bit more difficult, I think. So I just wanted to clear my head with everything. So I went on holiday. I went to South America for a couple of weeks, and I came back. And just as I was like just trying to cope with everything, another one of my best friends passed away. So it was like 6 weeks apart, and at very different circumstances, but nevertheless horrific. And I then had to sort of battle with my own mental health then. And I guess to a certain extent, I am still, and a lot of my other friends are still. It was two very separate schools, two very, very different friendship groups. Now, there's one thing that unites us all, and that's losing one of your best friends. It was horrific, basically. But it's about sort of trying to deal with it, and sort of not. It's very easy to have it at the back of your mind, but every time you actually bring it up, you feel spurred on to do something. You feel like something's got to be done to stop sort of, young people sort of going away, and that's what's really spurred me on to join the Race4Rene campaign.
It must have been quite a surprise when Max phoned you up and said, Simon, I think we're going to sail across the Atlantic.
Well, yeah.
Or something like that. I don't know how.
For sure, yeah.
It seems a pretty random idea, but what a great idea.
Yeah, he planted the seed of just the thought of it in sort of December. And we were actually at the Morpeth pub, sort of just in Pimlico after he came from work, and we just talking, and I was like, Max, this is insane. Like, this is just the most nuts idea. I've never even been on a boat. let alone thought about sailing across the Atlantic. So that was a crazy thought, but I also, thinking about it that evening, I didn't tell anyone about it. I was like, no, I was just crazy. And I thought, God, you know what an idea. For everyone to come and share their stories. Like, I had a very different relationship to René in the sense that we were quite distant, so I didn't really know anyone else on this boat, other than probably one other guy who who went to school with me, and it's just really cool how everything just unites and we're all doing it for one person. And I think René was the catalyst to basically drive us to do something good. And I've spoken to other people who've dedicated their life to mental health, and they said it's one of the best journeys that they've ever been on. They feel a lot more fulfilled, they sort of open up a lot more to other people, and since that whole ordeal happened, I have opened up to a lot more people, and I have spoken out about it. And sure, it's difficult, it doesn't go away just from talking about it, but it does make it just a little bit more bearable.
And the legacy that René's legacy, I guess, is going to be encouraging people to talk more openly.
Yeah,
that's the positive. I think it seems that's what people are aiming for, getting dialogue, and awareness.
Absolutely. I think one of the sort of big objectives of the Race4Rene campaign is, essentially the lift has been lifted by the royal family, by other influencers, and it's been fantastic. But it's exactly that, the lid has been lifted, and we want to make sure that it's not just a can of worms that they've just opened. We want to try and rebrand mental health. So that's something that we're really trying to do, is anything, anxiety, depression, no matter how great, how small, that is a form of mental health. If you cut your finger, or break a leg, that is physical health, right? So there are these levels, and if we can bring it on the same level, where people can talk about their physical health as they can talk about their mental health, it's incredible, and you feel a lot better with yourself.
Fantastic. Well, I wish you every success for the race.
Thank you very much.
It's going to be an amazing experience. I mean, you're all great friends. Will you still all be great friends after 3 weeks cooped up together in a single yacht?
Oh, for sure. I think there'll be a few irritations, no doubt. It's like, you're like brothers on that boat, so you're gonna have a bit of a friction, but then it just brings you closer. I think that's inevitable, and I'm so happy. It's an incredible group of people that René's sort of been friends with, and actually just the wider community. It's not just the race team, it's everyone involved, and everyone's just lovely, and it's a pleasure to be on it.
Great. Simon, the best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.